Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Mental Skills, Session 2 on Imagery. My name is Skylar Schultz. I'll be leading the session today. If you weren't here for the last session, just a reminder, want to just have you guys on mute as a default, but then I hope that you will be unmuting yourself at least once today to contribute and give us something from your perspective, because that's going to help make it a much richer experience for everybody involved, as opposed to just having me be the only one talking. So go ahead and unmute yourself and pop in when you're ready to share. Okay, any questions before we get started today? Okay, I'll be stopping periodically just to ask if there are any questions, but feel free just to pop in and ask a question if you're unsure about anything. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about imagery. Another word for imagery that you may have heard before is visualization. I'm going to show you a quick clip here with Brandi Chastain talking about doing mental skills work with the U.S. women's national team. She was a part of the team that won the World Cup in 1999. She was the woman that scored the winning penalty kick for the U.S. And this is just her talking about using mental skills in general leading up to that time.
Did we realize that the differentiating factor was
activities did she do with you, and how do you think that helped your team reach the highest levels of performance?
Well, I have to say that until we started working with Dr. Hacker, we had no idea how mental skills would impact our lives for the better. We were all about what she was saying. We wanted to be the best physically. We wanted to have good technical ability. We wanted to have the stamina it took to, play those 90 minutes. We needed the agility. And until that 96 time, when we were starting to go to the Olympics for the first time, did we realize that the differentiating factor was none of those things, but it was the mental skills portion of being the best athlete you could be that really would separate us from the rest. And I remember countless.
Okay, so I'm going to stop there. Really cool interview. If you're interested, you can obviously just Google or on YouTube, search Brandi Chastain, World Cup sports psychology would probably be the keywords that would get you there. Very interesting stuff. Just wanted to pop that in there because I'm still trying to kind of sell you girls and everybody in the club on the value of mental skills. So I'm going to keep kind of trying to sell you with different bits and pieces here. Okay. I'm a big quotes guy. I'm probably going to have at least one quote per session. Here's another one I found by Wayne Gretzky. He's probably considered the best male hockey player of all time. He said, "We taped a lot of famous pictures on the locker room door. Bobby Orr, Potvin, Beaulieu, all holding the Stanley Cup. We'd stand back and look at them and envision ourselves doing it. I really believe if you visualize yourself doing something, you can make that image come true. I must have rehearsed it 10,000 times. And when it came true, it was like an electric jolt went up my spine." And there he is, lifting his first Stanley Cup with the Edmonton Oilers. All right, so imagery, what is it? A simple definition is that imagery is using all the senses to recreate or create an experience in the mind. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about imagery before we get into doing a little bit of imagery ourselves today, and then creating some scripts. So hopefully you had an opportunity to download and print the imagery worksheet. Looks like this. If you did not a problem. I'll walk you through it a little bit at the end here, and then there's going to be some work that you'll need to do to fill in this worksheet after our session. I'm going to kind of prime you to be able to do that work today, but you're not going to do it during the session. Okay, so a little bit more about imagery. One of the first kind of breakthrough research experiments that they did related to imagery was with a group of downhill skiers. Now, this group of downhill skiers was preparing for the Olympics, and so they were on one of their trial hills that they had done, hundreds of times or maybe 100 times, because it was like what was going to be the one during the Olympics. So they had a very, very good idea of what this hill was like to ski. And so it was very easy for them to imagine themselves skiing down this hill. And they were doing some imagery work, and some researchers became interested in, okay, doing this imagery work, it seems to have a positive influence, but why? And so they put some measurement devices on their leg muscles, and they measured muscle activity while they were skiing down the hill. And then they put those same measuring devices on their legs while they were doing some imagery, just visualizing themselves skiing down the hill. And they found that the muscles firing in their legs actually mirrored what was happening when they were actually skiing down the hill, just by visualizing the experience. So that kind of showed that there is something happening in the body when you imagine yourself doing something. And it was similar to what was happening when they were actually skiing down the hill. Okay, another concept that I think is relatable to this session is the evolutionary theory of dreams. So the evolutionary dream theory says that the reason human beings dream, right? So nobody really knows why we dream. Mind you, this is just a theory, but the reason why we dream is because it exposes us to threatening situations, and then we're able to respond to those threatening situations in our dreams, and then that is going to increase our chance of survival when we encounter those threatening situations in real life. So again, this isn't necessarily why we have dreams, but it's a theory of dreams, and it's related to imagery because an experience in the mind can help prepare us for actually dealing with that situation in real life. And that's kind of the essence of what imagery is. It's about preparing yourself to deal with potentially adversity or bad things, but more often it's preparing ourselves to do the good things that we want to have happen in the game. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today, before we start creating, also we can use imagery to recreate good things that have happened in the past. Those are kind of easier in some regard to remember because it's already happened. It's something that did happen in reality. So want to get you girls involved. I want this to be fun, not boring and me just talking, but I want to hear from you girls the best goal you ever scored, or maybe the best thing that you've ever done on a soccer field. If you're a goalkeeper, maybe it's your best save. I'm wondering if you're willing to pop in and describe it to us in as much detail as you can, so we get to kind of relive that experience with you. Anybody willing to pop on and tell us about the best goal you ever scored?
Hello.
Hi, Eleanor.
Hi. So I'm a goalkeeper, and I think the best goal that I've ever saved was last year in Vegas. We were in PKs, and it was in the semifinal to go to the final game. And I just saved it with my foot, but I feel like just all the adrenaline rush was really, really fun.
Cool. Eleanor, would you mind providing us with a little bit more details? Like, how did it come to the forward's feet? Like, what was happening in front of you? Can you give us a bigger picture of what that save was like?
Um, it was overtime, and we already had one 10-minute half, and it was in the second half, and there was only maybe less than 5 minutes left, and it was coming down, and the forward passed it through my defenders, and it was coming right at me, and it was a 1v1, and I dove and I saved it.
Okay, nice. Thanks for giving us a little bit more of the backstory there, because that really, I can see how it would have been a big save for you. So thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to pop in? Come on, be brave. Help us make this fun. I don't want it to just be me. I'm not fun enough. I need you girls to pop in. Okay, I'll tell you about mine, and then I want one more person to pop in there. So mine was in college. I believe it was either my junior or senior year, and I played at Gustavus down in St. Peter. It was a home game. It was one of our first games of the season. We were playing Bethany Lutheran from Mankato, and we got a free kick just outside the box to the right side of the goal. And so the goalkeeper lined up the wall in front, so the far post was open and he was standing there, and I was feeling it, and I stepped up to the ball and I hit it basically right at him, but towards the bottom corner, and I hit it so sweet, so pure, just so low and hard. It just drove, and he tried to react, but it came so fast. It basically just bounced off of his shin guard and into the goal. It was just one of the best balls in a game I've ever hit. So that's one that stands out for me. Let's get one more before we move on. Okay, well, I'm not going to pull your teeth out. I wish there was more, but we're going to move on. Okay, so let me share my screen again. There we go. Okay, so recreating is a way, if you can remember some of the good things that you've done, it can help give you a little boost of confidence, a little boost of motivation. But today we're going to be talking more about creating. So imagining yourself playing in games or training sessions that haven't happened yet. So to do a little bit of this as a little bit of a primer, I want you to imagine your next game. Maybe that's this coming weekend or the following weekend. Whatever your next game is going to be, think about who you're playing. What's the field going to be like? What's the drive there going to be like? You're going to be riding with friends, by yourself. Are your parents taking you? How are you going to get there? I want you to think about how you're going to feel when the whistle blows. So imagine you're starting the game in your position and the whistle blows. How are you going to feel? And then for the next 30 seconds, I just want you to close your eyes and see if you can imagine yourself playing in that game. And ideally, use as many senses as you can and try to make yourself, try to see yourself doing good things. Okay. So I'm going to spend 30 seconds imagining yourself playing in the next game. Ready? Go ahead. Okay, I'm going to stop you there. What was that like? Anybody willing to pop on and just say what did you see yourself doing, and were you successfully able to imagine yourself doing good things in your next game? Or I'll put it more simply, what did you see yourself doing? If you can just describe to yourself what you were doing on the field when you just did imagery there for 30 seconds. Come on, girls. I need some participation. Need some people popping in. Brooke over there, I see you. Katrina, we got people in there. Want to hear from you. Maya, Lauren, Zoe, what do you got for us? What did you see yourself doing? Okay, not feeling it today.
All
Oh, we got one. Hi, Danny.
Hi. I mean, basically, I saw myself because I'm a goalie. I saw myself being ready for the shot, having my hands in a good position, saving the ball definitely, making sure I have good kicks, and any pass backs, I'm good enough to like cross the field and get it to my players. So yeah.
Okay, nice. So you're seeing yourself doing a lot of good things, saving balls, distributing. Um, okay, nice.
Hi.
Thanks for sharing, Danny. Did that open the floodgates? Does anybody else want to pop in? It's not so bad.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Lauren.
Okay, well, I'm an outside back, so I just picture myself like playing quickly, having good passes, good crosses, being physical when defending, stuff like that.
Okay, nice. So connecting passes, playing the ball forward, getting crosses in, being physical, defending, all the good things that you would hope to do in a game. Nice. Okay, see, this is better. It's better to hear from people and kind of get some perspective here. So let's keep rolling. You don't have to answer right now, but I'm curious, how many senses did you use? So I had primed you to use as many senses as you can. I'm wondering how rich of an experience you were able to make it for yourself using multiple senses. So you can kind of see, we got sight, sound, all 5 of the senses. As many as you can use, the better it's going to be in terms of making that a realistic experience in your mind. So just something to remember there. Try to use as many senses as you can. And then I'm curious, I want to hear from you girls, maybe somebody that hasn't chimed in yet. Did you use an external viewing perspective, like you were being filmed on a camera? Or did you use an internal viewing perspective and did you see things happening through your own eyes? Or maybe you used a mixture of both. So I'm curious if we can get somebody to pop in and say, which perspective they used, either seeing it through their own eyes or like you were being watched or like you were watching yourself on television. What was your natural tendency there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, is this Katrina?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I use more of an external vision, so like I saw myself playing more than me like actually playing the game.
Okay, so you saw like you were watching yourself as opposed to seeing things through your own eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Did anybody see things through their own eyes as they were imagining themselves playing in the game?
Hi. I actually saw myself playing from my own eyes. It was kind of hard, like seeing from an external point of view. It was more easier to see myself like grabbing the ball and like making good saves and rolling it out to my teammates rather than seeing myself do it from like an outside point of view.
Okay, so for you, it was easier just to see it through your own eyes. Okay, nice. Thanks for piping in, girls. I guess the point here is there's not a right or a wrong way to do it. And similar to the senses piece where we're trying to use as many senses as we can, if you can experience it both ways, then that's also going to have a more beneficial what's the word the experience is going to be richer if you can have as many senses as you can involved, and if you can also see it both ways. So you probably have one way that's either easier or is just your natural tendency. But maybe is it Eleanor that shared last? Yeah, Eleanor. So maybe for you, naturally you're going to see things through your own eyes, but then maybe you after you do that for a little bit, then you try to see it like it's on TV. And if you can do both, then that's going to be a good thing. And then for Katrina, obviously the opposite. Maybe then you spend a little bit of time seeing it through your own eyes. Okay, cool. So the next point here I want to make is that if we're going to start to use imagery as a mental training tool, or if this is going to be something that is a mental skill that you are going to use, um, it has to be systematic and it has to be controllable. Okay, so systematic means that it's something that you do consistently. There's a system to it. You do it before every training session, or you do it before every game, or you do it before both. You've got to have a system in place and do this consistently if it's going to be something that is going to be beneficial for you. And then eventually it'll become more controllable. So you might have found like you were trying to see stuff happen, but it wasn't that easy, or maybe it just wasn't, you weren't as comfortable in that situation as you would have liked. The more you do it, just like with anything else, you're going to become better and better, and you're going to become more in control of the images that you see of yourself in your mind. So, again, the stuff that we're going to do in these sessions and throughout this program, it's going to kind of be on you. I mean, I'm going to give you hopefully some tools, and I'm going to kind of set you on your way, but it's going to be up to you if you're going to be using this. And if you decide, hey, this just isn't for me, I don't like it, there's nothing wrong with that either. I'm here to kind of tell you, hey, this is something that could help you, and I strongly believe that, but then it's going to be up to you girls to use it. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit more. You might be thinking, okay, yeah, this is kind of interesting. I'm thinking about trying it. I want to tell you that imagery does work just by giving you another short video of here of a hockey player doing some imagery before a hockey game. And then they show us some clips here, and he had some success in that game.
He's visualizing. Watch this now. Now look at this. I've never seen anything like this. And watch right at the very end, this is a long one, he's looking right at the spot where he shot the puck. See that? He's, you know, I hear guys out there doing their sticks and everything. Isn't that something? Whatever he's doing right. Now look at you looking at that spot again. He got that spot down perfect. You look at, see that? He's getting ready to just snap that puck like that. Bobby did this? Bobby would be in the dressing room. He would not go out. Bobby would be in the afternoon at 2:30 in the afternoon, getting ready for a 7 o'clock game, just like he's getting ready, not quite as early, but Bobby would do the exact same thing. Now watch, it's that spot that he was looking. Watch that spot, boom. And he had another great spot with it before, and see that spot? That's his spot visualizing.
Okay, kind of cool. So I'm going to try to keep selling you a little bit by letting you know that there has been a lot of scientific research done on imagery, and it's been pretty consistent that they found that athletes who are engaging in imagery before they perform something are showing improvement in that performance. So like with golf putting, they did an experiment where they just had a group of putters. Well, they had two groups of putters, you know, evenly matched in skill, same putting greens, everything's the same. They just had one group before they putt, they were just cued to imagine themselves putting the ball in the right way and having the ball go in. And the other group was given no such cue. They just went up and putted the ball as they normally would. And they found that the group that was visualizing themselves putting in the right way and having the ball go in had a slightly better performance. So little things like that can let us know that this isn't just something that people hope works or think works, but they've done research on it and it really does work. So how and when to use imagery in soccer? There's a lot of different ways. I want to kind of skim through these because we're gonna cue in on a couple different ways in our worksheets, and I want to have enough time to go over that. So just going to kind of skim through these, and then we'll get into, we're going to practice one, and then we're going to get into the worksheet. So this is a video I found online. It's just a gal reading a script, but I think it's good to expose you to this script at this point in time because it helps you really understand what a good imagery or visualization experience is like. Okay, so she's going to cue you to just get in a comfortable position and close your eyes, and then she's going to talk through a scenario on the soccer field. And the idea here is that you're following along and imagining yourself as the player being described.
Get into a comfortable sitting position. Hands resting in your lap. Take a deep breath in, hold. Take another deep breath in, hold, let it go. Observe your body, be aware, allow the body to relax. Now grab your soccer bag, you're going out to the field, it's just you. You got your cleats on, uniform. The stands are empty, you feel the fall breeze, you smell the changing of the seasons, the leaves. The pitch is beautiful. Notice the look and smell of the freshly mown grass. Sun feels good. You feel energized. The game has started. It's a good physical match. You're exhilarated by the focus and intensity from both your team and the opponent's. Your center midfielder gives you a perfect, clean pass. You receive it skillfully, drawing your foot back, opening your hip as you change direction slightly. You note the defender trying to force you inside. You hear your center forward yell, "Take her on." You look at the ball, feel it through the supple leather of your cleats. The defender's on you now. You can feel the physical contact. You feel your shoulder dip as you fake to the inside, drive down the line. Plant your foot, feel your cleat dig into the grass. Look up, think timing, pace. One last glance, there's your left winger making that run to far post. Switch your focus back to the ball now. See it go just past the keeper's reach. The ball's on its way now. You adjust, maintain your balance, look up. There's your teammate airborne. You can see it in the back of the net before it even gets there, and it does, right in the upper right corner. Feel that joy. Celebrate with yourself before you even run to your teammates. You just done exactly the job you needed to do. Now take about 10 seconds to replay that in real time. Feel that joy, the fatigue, the calm. You're suspended in time. Now take a few breaths, relax, open your eyes. That moment will feed many more to come. Your brain cannot distinguish that imagery experience from an actual performance. Nice job.
Okay, so if you like that, if you want to listen to that again, you could either watch this session again, or it looks like it's just called Soccer Imagery on YouTube there. So you could find it on Google or on YouTube there. Okay, so the next task for you is to spend some time creating your own imagery script. So while that is a nice recording, it's really specific to a number 7 or a right winger, right? And so there's probably only a handful of you. There's not a whole lot of you in this session even. So there's probably only, a couple, if any, that are actually right wingers. So the task for you is to create a script that's with you, and it's with you doing something that you do best, ideally. Or if you were in the last session on goal mapping, choose one of your, there it is. Choose one of your challenge goals here. Like if you wanted to have 70% of your passes connected, or you wanted to have maybe 90% of your shots saved as a goalkeeper, make it be something that's involved here in your script, and then create just a little story. You get to be the author of your own story. Use as many senses as you can, right? You might have noticed in that video, she had the smell of the grass. She had the feel of the ball through the supple leather of the cleats. She had hearing her teammate tell her to take her on. There was a lot of senses involved. So as many as you can use, that's going to be better. And then the next one that I want you to do when you're done with that is to come up with a bad situation, maybe a time when you're likely to become upset, overly emotional, or lose your cool. And then you're going to create a scenario where something bad happens that makes you upset or frustrated, but you're able to respond in a way that is positive, the way that you would like yourself to respond. So this is kind of related to that dream theory. If you remember, this is like, if you can imagine yourself encountering a bad situation, like maybe you miss an open goal, or if you're a goalkeeper, you let a ball go through your hands. So something that you really don't want to have happen happens, but then how do you respond? Is it positive body language? Is it, just a clap and you're feeling good? What happens that is not ideal, but then how do you respond? And so that way, when that stuff does happen, hopefully it never happens, but we know bad stuff does happen. So it's going to help you be more prepared to deal with that moment in the way that you would like to, as opposed to just leaving it to chance. Okay. And then the last thing here is commit to your imagery schedule. Like we said, it's got to be something that's systematic. So it asks you to write down how many minutes are you willing to commit to use an imagery before each training session, and how many minutes are you willing to commit to use an imagery before each game. And then it asks you to put that in your phone. I think, for me, that would be the best way, somewhere where it's going to remind you, okay, it's time to do imagery. It's an hour before my training session. I'm going to spend a few minutes here. And I had a good question in the last session of what is the ideal amount of time. I don't think there is an ideal amount of time. I would say the max I would recommend would be 5 or 10 minutes. I think even just doing a minute or two can have a real bonus. So it doesn't have to be a lot of time, but maybe you spend a little bit more time with games because they're more infrequent and also more important. Well, not necessarily more important, but you know what I mean. So hopefully you were able to print this off. If you were not, you can just write these down on a piece of paper, or you can go back and you can print this from the email I sent yesterday. Okay, so I want to stop because we are just a couple minutes over time, and I like to stick on time here, and just see if there's any questions before I let you go for the evening. Okay, well, if you do have any questions, I'll stick on here for a few more minutes. If you wanted to just ask something without everybody on, you can also always email me at sschultz@salvosoccer.org. And then last thing before I let you go, just want to let you know where you can find the recordings. Well, let me share my screen real quick. Share the screen. If you go into your Team Snap and you click on the event, mental skills event, right now it has the link to join the meeting. I'm going to go in tomorrow morning with all these events, edit, and then put the link to the recording of the session in there. So that's where you can always find it. It'll be in the schedule in the Team Snap event for each meeting. Okay. So that's it for tonight. If you want to stay on and ask me any questions, you are more than welcome to. I appreciate your time, girls. And for those of you who participated, appreciate you. For those of you who didn't participate, no worries, but I hope that you're willing to participate in a future session. All right. Thank you very much. Good night. Hey, Katrina, it looks like you're still on. Did you have a question? All right. Looks like everybody's done. Okay, go ahead and end the meeting.